Hey everyone, it's Jill the Wandering Stamper, and I hope you're having a great day today. Today we're going to make a corner fold card that utilizes a large piece of designer series paper and shows off both sides of that gorgeous paper. We all love our DSP, and I love a card that can show both sides of the paper. So this is a great card for virtually any type of vibe you want, whether it's a feminine card, masculine card, kids card, whatever. It all works. It's simple, but it's eye-catching, and it's a really easy and cool card to make. So today we're going to use the Adventurous Sky designer series paper and the stamps and dies. I haven't pulled that one out for a while, and I was making my little brother a birthday card, and I thought, you know what, this is a perfect thing to demonstrate to you all today. So that's why I'm going to share it. So let me take a moment to turn down the camera and we'll get started. Thanks for joining me. Here's the products we're going to be using today. I've grabbed my copper clay classic stamping pad. I've grabbed some 2023-25 colored in color opaque dots because I want to use these gray ones, which I believe are Pebbled Path. We're going to use the gorgeous Adventurous Sky. This is so much fun, and this is not on the retired list. I know the new catalog comes out in May. It's not on the retired list or the last chance list. So hopefully this is I think this is carrying over, which is great, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to share it with you today. So we're going to be using the Adventurous Sky stamps, and then I've done some die cutting with the Adventurous Sky dies. Love this set. It's a lot of fun. I'm going to pair it with Smoky Slate and Copper Clay, and I'm doing that because we're going to be using this pattern of paper, which has these really cool Copper Clay airplanes, and then the back has this really neat topographical map. So I thought that would be the perfect designer series paper, and then we're going to also be using a little bit of the clouds. So if you haven't seen this paper, it's so super cool. Here is a fresh pack of it, and it just has lots of great backgrounds, lots of airplanes. It's great for masculine cards, teenager cards. It's a really neat little suite of products. So if you haven't seen it, take a look. Otherwise, this is what we're using today. All right, so let me grab my paper cutter. I did some of the prep work ahead of time, but I wanted to show you, I don't want to say the hardest part because it's not hard, but I guess the trickiest thing, which is not tricky at all, about this card. So the first thing you want to have, let me get my measurements in front of me so I make sure I tell you everything right. The designer series paper that you're using is a large piece that's 6 3/4 inches by 8 inches, okay? That's the biggest sheet you're using. So you want to pick a design that you really like, and if it is directional like this one is, make sure it's facing the right way. And the direction that you want on the outside of your card, the side that you want on the outside of your card, I put that upside down. So this is virtually the inside of my card, this design. So this is how I like to put it on my paper trimmer. So you're going to put the 6 3/4 inch side at the top, and there's only 2 scores. There's 2 scores in a fold. So you're going to score at 2 3/4 inches, just like so, and then rotate it counterclockwise at 2 3/4 inches one more time and give it a score. That's it. All right. And I'm going to put this aside. So now you're going to have a 2 3/4 inch score, and you can go ahead and, I'm not going to bone fold it till the end. And then then you have your other 2 3/4 inch score. So you've got 4 quadrants. All right. So the only thing you have to do with this now is where your 2 score lines cross, this little place they cross, and if you can't see it, you can even just take a pencil right there. It's right there. So when you're doing it yourself, it's very easy to see. So once you fold it, you can see where it crisscrosses, and all you're going to do is turn your paper to where that crisscross happens, and then you just match up your score lines. So here is one of my score lines. Here's my other score line. So if you scored properly, then just match up a score line and then go ahead and crease it and crease the other one. And if you're off just a little bit before we finish it off, you can fix it. But that's all you have to do. So now those 2 score lines where they cross, we've folded it diagonally. So we're going to turn our paper, and all you have to do is you're going to tuck that in. So I'm going to tuck in here and tuck in here, And essentially what you're doing is you're having a square right here. So this is the time where you kind of look and make sure you scored straight. And if you have anything that's just a little bit off, like right here, I'm a little bit off, then you just take your bone folder and straighten it out. And it comes out perfect every time, okay? So ultimately, that's what you end up with. So you have this great little square on the front, and everything folds up nice and neat, and then it opens up, and there's your card, okay? So again, to recap that, you've got a score at 2 3/4, a score at 2 3/4, then you turn your paper and turn it in where the two score lines meet, and then you just simply fold it on the front, and that is your base. How easy is that? All right, so in addition to that, we're gonna have some other pieces. So I chose copper clay. So for the back of the card, I cut a piece that's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and that's going to be layered onto the outside of the card. And then you're gonna have, for the inside of the card, you're going to have a piece of cardstock that's 3 3/4 by 5, and then a piece of basic white that is 3 1/2 by 4 3/4. So just slightly smaller, and that goes on the inside. Then you're going to have a 2 1/2 by 2 1/2 square, which is this, and a 2 1/4 by 2 1/4 piece of designer series paper, just like so. And that is also going to go on the inside. And again, don't forget, I will have all of these cutting and scoring measurements on my blog, so just click down below and that link will take you there so that you don't have to worry about writing all this down right now. And then the last few pieces you need are for the front of the card. You're going to want a piece of cardstock that is 2 3/4 by 4 1/4, and then a piece of basic white that's 2 1/2 by 4. All right, and then I've also cut a small piece that's 2 1/2 inches wide, and then whatever height you want that to be. So if you were just going to put some words, maybe you want this really tall. I just kind of made mine about halfway down. I didn't even measure it. I just kind of trimmed it where everything's going to fit. And this is optional. It doesn't really show on this card, but it shows on some of my other pieces. You can cut a thin strip of matching cardstock and add that above your designer series paper, and then just snip off the edges once you glue it down. That makes a nice little kind of pattern, and that's optional. It's not really going to show on my card, but that is something I do quite often. All right, so let's do some stamping, and then we'll put this card together. It really is quite easy. Now, before we came in, I also colored and die cut one of the planes from the paper, or from some basic white cardstock, and using the stamps and dies, and I colored it in smoky slate and copper clay. And then I know you probably can't see it, but I added Wink of Stella where the propellers are, so it kind of looks like it's spinning, and it's got a little bit of a glisten to it. So I thought that was cool, and I already added my dimensionals to the back, so you don't have to watch me do that part. So all right, let's grab our pieces and do a little bit of stamping. So I'm going to go ahead and open my copper clay and grab a piece of very well used scratch paper here. All right, and then we're going to grab some stamps. So I have decided on the inside of my card, I am going to just keep it simple, and I'm going to make this kind of like whoops. That was a loud noise. I'm trying to grab my blocks there. I'm going to make it kind of like a note card, so I'm not going to really put any words on the inside. I'm just going to do this airplane. So I'm just going to stamp this, and then I'm going to stamp off because I don't want it to be real dark. And then I'm just going to kind of have it flying over here on the bottom part of this paper. So it just gives it a little interest, so it's not just a plain piece of white. Now this is a great place to also add a sentiment, a happy birthday, whatever. There are some really great ones. I love the "You lift me up," "Flying by to say hi," "You're the best, plain and simple." All of the sayings are really fun and go so well with this designer series paper. So for the front of the card, I'm just going to simply stamp at the top. And let's see, I think I'm going to do "Flying by to say hi" right like that. Maybe I'll do the You're the Best plain and simple. I think I'm going to do that because I like how it fills up that area. So switching gears, I'm allowed to do that, right? Let's grab a block that fits. All right, I'm going to ink this up and I'm going to stand up. So hopefully I do this straight. I always struggle with this on camera, as you know. Okay, nice and straight. It's my lucky day. All right, so that's all I'm stamping. Like I said, this is not a hard card. Once you have mastered the fold for the designer series paper, it's really simple. So now it's just simply adding all the layers. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my silicone craft sheet here because I've been making a mess lately. And this thing keeps your surface clean, so it's always close to me when I'm stamping. All right, because I am messy sometimes, especially with glue. So I'm just going to go ahead and layer these pieces on. So there is our square. And then we have this piece that we stamped a few minutes ago. I'm just making sure I'm grabbing the correct pieces. This is the larger one. Okay. This is a great card too if I know a lot of people who stamp with me, they prefer to leave the insides of their cards blank because they don't really know who they're going to send it to. And a lot of the time they just like to write whatever they're thinking in there rather than have a stamp that might say something that doesn't quite fit that person, which I respect that. So for me, sometimes I leave it blank and don't stamp it until I'm ready to send it because I'm not sure who I'm sending it to. So there's lots of ways you can do your cards, and I'm curious, how do you do yours? So drop me a message below. Let me know. Do you stamp the inside and outside, or do you stamp it when you're ready to send it, or do you keep it blank and just write a little note? What's your favorite way? All right, so I'm going to layer this onto that largest piece that we cut. This just kind of gives it a little bit more. It makes it a sturdy card because we are using most of it we're using designer series paper, so it's not as heavy as cardstock would be. So that adds a nice little layer. And then also it just is visually appealing. So adding that copper clay just pulls it all together. All right, so now I'm just adding my sentiment inside. Actually, not my sentiment, just my inside greeting area. Making sure that's straight. And then this little piece is going to be here. Be mindful of the direction if you have directional paper. This is a really easy card too if you have a pack of paper that you're kind of wanting to maybe finish up because you want to make room for some new paper and you need to free up some space. That happens to me quite often because I RV and I only have so much space. This is a great way to use that paper in a way that will allow you to have some really great cards for your loved ones and your friends. So now this was for the front. So before I add that, I'm going to go ahead and build it. So what I like to do is go ahead and add this layer, and it's going to go right here on the bottom. There's so many different ways you can do this. I'm going to show you a sample that doesn't even use this part. I like that you can change the sizes and what you put on the front, but this is kind of a go-to. These are go-to measurements that you can do for anything, so I like to be able to give you those as well. So if I was going to add the strip, I'd put it right here. I just put a thin line of glue right there and then just add it. But because I'm putting this plain on here, you just don't really see it. So we'll go ahead and do it, but I'm not even sure. I think on my other sample, it ended up not showing. And you can use a thicker piece as well. I just grab whatever scraps I have and make sure that they're at least 1/8 of an inch or up to 1/4 inch, depending on what's going on the front of my card. And I'm able to put this really thin stream of glue down because I use my glue press from my Sweet Petunia. I'm not an affiliate, but I do love the glue press. So if you struggle with not getting liquid glue all over the place, that might be something you might want to look into. They have some really great products. All right, so see, as you can see, that just kind of, that makes it look nice and clean. But it may not show with my embellishment, so we'll see. So now I'm going to go ahead and add my glue below here. Just like so. And this would also look great with smoky slate. I think the smoky slate would look really nice on here instead of the copper clay. And then I only put my dimensionals more toward the middle because this is going to hang off a little. So I'm going to put it right here like that. So I guess the trim did show a little bit. Look how cool that is though. That would make a cool card just by itself. So now I would normally put this up here and kind of center it, but because I did stamping right here, I'm going to put it so that it covers that up, and so it still looks really nice, but I'm covering up this area. So if this area is blank, you could probably just put it on like this, but I prefer to cover that up. That's just me personally. I mean, I'm sure it looks fine like that, but I like that clean area. So I just kind of eyeball where my glue needs to go, put my finger there, and then I'm going to grab my liquid glue and just put some down right there in that area because I don't want to glue anything that's not supposed to be glued. And then I'm going to lay that down just like that. Give it 1 second to dry. Make sure nothing is on the back. That looks good. And then all we have left to do is embellish. So look how easy this card was to make. This is just minutes. So let's see. I'm going to use one here because that looks a little bare. These are the Pebbled Path, I believe, dots. And they're close enough to that smoky slate that they look really good. They add a little bit of extra dazzle to your card. So that's it. That's the corner fold. So we've got You're the Best, plain and simple. I love this airplane. It's so much fun. It's a great guy, masculine card, teenager card. It's a fun card for a friend, male or female. It's just a great neutral card. You open it up and you've got plenty of room to write. This little corner section here just makes it a little more interesting and breaks up the rest of the inside of the pattern. You could actually even add something here if you wanted to. I didn't feel like it was necessary in this card, but super cute, right? So let me show you my other sample. This is the Grow with Love, the one in, I love this set because it looks like seed packets. It even has a die that creates a seed packet. It has all these herbs. So I went ahead and grabbed that and I paired it. I always forget the name of this paper. Let me see if I have it handy. I do not have it handy, unfortunately, but I will link it. Oh, here it is. This paper is the Everyday Happiness Designer Series paper. I think it might be scrapbooking paper. It is in the catalog. And it uses Lost Lagoon and the Beautiful Wild Wheat, which I love those two colors together. So that's why I kind of decided to put this card together. Inside it says You're on My Mind. So this is a great little note card for a friend. And again, it's pretty gender neutral. So there's another pretty card. And then the last card is everybody's favorite Country Birdhouse stamp set. So instead of creating the normal dimensions that I would create for this card, I just went ahead and created the birdhouse first and then cut my petal pink paper just slightly, maybe a 1/4 inch bigger, and then layered some Designer Series paper behind that. So I just created just my own little panel on the front and built that birdhouse, added a bow, and inside it says hoping you have the best day ever, and just simply put a little petal pink bird inside. So how pretty is that? Very, very simple little card to make, but it's so pretty, and whoever gets it is going to love it. So there you go. There is the corner fold card. I hope you like this card. I hope this one's going to be a great, fun way to make some cards. Super simple and frees up your space for some more of that beloved designer series paper, because don't forget the new new catalog will come out in May with a whole bunch of new stuff. So I'm looking forward to that. Thank you so much again for watching me. As always, I appreciate all of my viewers very much. Don't forget to subscribe if you don't already, and click that bell so that you get notification of my videos. And remember, I have a link below to my blog that has all of my cutting instructions, scoring, the products that I use for my cards and my sample cards, along with my online store and everything else. So I thank you again for watching. I will see you next time. Have a great rest of the day, and don't forget to spend some time crafting today. See you later.